Strap in, because today's story is nothing less than jaw-dropping. We're plunging straight into a storm of headlines, courtroom chaos, violent claims, and one of the most polarizing R&B icons of our era, Chris Brown. Yes, that Chris Brown. The very same star who shot to fame with Run It, and later grabbed attention for all the wrong reasons. Now, the man once crowned the Prince of R&B is making waves again, and not because of his music. Chris Brown has just been arrested in the UK, facing charges of grievous bodily harm with intent. We're talking weapons, a vicious nightclub attack, and a lawsuit that could rattle the core of his career. This isn't some minor altercation. It's about whether Chris Brown has finally crossed the line. So, tap that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's break down everything unfolding in the darkest chapter yet of Chris Brown's controversy-filled legacy.
The arrest. What we know so far.
Chris Brown's 2024 just took an unexpected turn. In the early hours of May 15th, the singer was dramatically taken into custody at a Manchester hotel by the Metropolitan Police. Officials confirmed he's facing charges of grievous bodily harm with intent, a major offense in the UK that could put him behind bars for several years. But here's the twist. This isn't linked to any new incident. The arrest connects back to a 2023 clash at an upscale London nightclub. Prosecutors claim Brown allegedly carried out an unprovoked attack with a weapon in a crowded venue. The details? Absolutely brutal. So what exactly went down? UK authorities say this wasn't some bar scuffle that spiraled out of control. In court, prosecutor Hannah Nichols described it as an unprovoked attack with a weapon inside a nightclub packed with people. That's not small. That's not confusion. That's straight-up felony assault in the UK, an offense carrying heavy prison time. The prosecution laid it out bluntly, framing it as a brutal assault carried out in front of terrified club patrons. On May 16th, Brown showed up at Manchester Magistrates Court, where the judge shut down his bail request, ordering he remain in custody until his next hearing at Southwark Crown Court on June 13th. No bail, no breaks, no bright stage lights or cheering fans. Just raw, cold justice in one of the UK's toughest criminal courts.
The alleged victim. A music producer's bloody story.
Now here's where things take an even darker turn. The alleged victim? Music producer Amadou, Diaw. You might know that name because he filed a civil lawsuit in Los Angeles back in October 2023, and it lays out a violent, gut-wrenching account of what unfolded that night in London. According to Diaw, the chaos erupted at Tape nightclub in Hanover Square in the early hours of February 19, 2023. The place was packed. Brown was in town for his Under the Influence tour, but instead of a night of celebration, it spiraled into a scene that felt ripped straight out of a horror film. Diaw alleges Chris Brown grabbed a massive bottle of Don Julio 1942 tequila. Yes, the top-shelf stuff, smashed it over his head, then stomped on him while he lay unconscious. For a full 30 seconds. Let that sink in. The lawsuit says Diaw walked away with deep head lacerations and torn ligaments in his leg. He was hospitalized, traumatized, and now, finally, the criminal case tied to this alleged assault is catching up with Chris Brown. And here's the kicker. Police have confirmed that Brown's arrest in Manchester connects directly back to this exact same incident. If true, it could mark the end of his career. And honestly, some fans are saying it's about time.
A long history of violence. From Rihanna to restraining orders.
Chris Brown's name has been linked to controversy for years. This isn't some isolated slip-up. It looks like part of a long, troubling pattern of violent behavior. Everyone remembers 2009. The shocking images of Rihanna's bruised and battered face after Brown assaulted her on the night of the Grammy Awards dominated global headlines. That moment permanently changed the way the world views Chris Brown. Even though he issued a public apology, served probation, and worked to rebuild his reputation, the scars lingered, and not just the ones Rihanna carried. Fast forward to 2017. Karrueche Tran, another former girlfriend and actress from the hit show Claws, was granted a restraining order after alleging that Brown was abusive and issued threats against her. And the list doesn't end there. In 2018, yet another woman, represented by attorney Gloria Allred, came forward, accusing Brown of trapping her inside his home and forcing her to perform sex acts on his friends. No criminal charges were filed, But the allegations only added to an already terrifying narrative. Then came 2019 in Paris. Brown was accused of rape by another woman while staying at a luxury hotel. Although French authorities eventually released him without charges, the damage was already done. Once again, Chris Brown was in the headlines, not for chart-topping albums, but for deeply disturbing accusations. And just when it seemed like things couldn't spiral any further, a 2024 lawsuit surfaced, claiming Brown and his entourage assaulted 4 men after a concert in Texas. At this point, Chris Brown isn't just a troubled artist, he's a walking tabloid disaster.
The lawsuit, the documentary, and a $500 million war with Warner Brothers.
And here's a twist even Hollywood couldn't script better. Right in the middle of all this chaos, Chris Brown is actually suing Warner Brothers Discovery for a staggering $500 million. Why? Because of a documentary titled Chris Brown, A History of Violence. The name alone says everything. The film exposes Brown's alleged violent history, drawing a straight line from Rihanna to Tran, from Paris to London. In January 2025, Brown filed the lawsuit, accusing the company of libel and intentional infliction of emotional distress. He argued that the documentary was biased, misleading, and nothing more than a hit piece meant to destroy what's left of his already fragile reputation. But let's be honest, how much reputation does Chris Brown even have left to shatter? The documentary went viral across YouTube, Reddit, and Twitter, sparking massive debates over whether the music industry has allowed Brown to stay relevant for far too long. And while trying to muzzle the media through lawsuits, Brown was also stirring things up online. Just hours before his arrest, he posted "Free Tory" on his Instagram story, referring to rapper Tory Lanez, who's serving a 10-year sentence for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. Let's just say, that post aged horribly.
Chris Brown's future, Breezy Bowl, or behind bars.
Here's the wild part. Despite everything, Chris Brown was set to launch his Breezy Bowl XX World Tour on June 8th in Amsterdam, with Bryson Tiller as support. But now, with a court date locked in for June 13th and Brown sitting in a UK jail cell, that tour could already be dead in the water. And here's the big question. Can Chris Brown even perform internationally if he's convicted of grievous bodily harm with intent? The UK isn't exactly forgiving when it comes to celebrity offenders. Just ask anyone who's tried entering with a criminal record. Brown could be staring down years behind bars, and not the kind with bottle service. For fans, this feels like a breaking point. Some are doubling down, insisting it's just another smear campaign. But others? They're done. Exhausted. Fed up with a star who keeps breaking laws and breaking hearts again and again. And with every new scandal, it gets harder and harder to separate the artist from the man. So what's next for Chris Brown? Is this the end of his music career? Will the courts finally step in and hold him accountable after more than a decade of disturbing headlines? Or will Breezy once again slip away untouched, dropping hits while dodging handcuffs? We'll be watching. Tell us what you think in the comments. Do you still support Chris Brown after everything that's come out? Should celebrities be held to higher standards? Or does fame act as the ultimate shield? And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell for more breaking celebrity updates, raw commentary, and deep dives you won't catch on mainstream media. Until next time, stay woke, stay safe, and stay tuned.